Near, rip a hole in the sun. What's up, everybody? This is Dame Judy Dench coming in here hot with a 26 hours to go before the draft. Figured I'd get a little smell Kiper the third on y'all, try and predict some draft picks here, do the big board, see what everybody else might need, see if we can get in some predictions, maybe some influence on tomorrow's draft, and maybe prepare for some of you that haven't done any prep just yet. So let's just hit it. We got Ryan Nicholas coming in with the 1.1. I think we all know what he's going to do there is probably trade back for a couple third round picks to use in 2026. But yeah, Bijan Robinson going off first. Absolutely. Then jumping to the KT Hansky here. And while we're here, little sleeper tip. You can update this name if you want. It's under your profile. You can just edit it anytime you want. Obviously, this is your sleeper user profile, not your team name, but this is what shows up here in the draft board. So if you want to be fun with this, you can update that too. I believe this is the public deuces, just dropping public deuces on everybody. Got the 1-2, the 2-2, the 3-2, and grabbing that 1-9. Let's take a look at the team real quick, though. We got Justin Hairbear leading the crew, followed by Mac Jones, Sam Howell, and Matt Corral. I don't know about you, but I think Justin Hairbear might need a little bit of help. But look a little deeper. We got Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Pierce, some really strong young running backs. Then, piecing together some other hopefuls potentially. So three strong young running backs going to be good for a good long time, but three running backs, maybe you need a little bit of help. Everybody knows Jahmyr Gibbs is right there. We're probably going to see Jahmyr Gibbs go off the board in that 2 spot. But what else is Public Deuces looking for? Scary Terry McLaurin, T.Y. Higgins, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman, Drake London. There's some good wide receiver names there. You've got your lead two with McLaurin and Higgins. Mooney, we'll see. He's got competition now in Chicago. Bateman should be healthy. We'll see if Lamar Jackson, with the new contract, gets everything he needs and see if Bateman can get on there, if it's going to be Mark Andrews season again. I see a potential need to add in another flex wide receiver now that we've got the extra flex spot. Let's go down tight ends. The Pitts. Let's see what Pitts can do. This could be the bounce back year that everybody's been hoping for Kyle Pitts. And you got K-Dot and Isaiah Likely. Likely was looking good, but working with Andrews, big body, good hands, might be in there playing more dual tight end stuff, so still get some touches. But hey, there's some really strong tight ends in this draft this year, so we might see a tight end go off for the public deuces as well. But 1.2, yeah, we're going to see Jahmyr Gibbs go off, and then you're not going to be able to touch this guy's running backs for probably 5-6 years with Etienne, Stevenson, Pierce, and Jahmyr Gibbs. But then let's move on to the Caponia. Got the 1.3, traded around, got the 1.8, got the 2.1. Yeah, got some picks coming to this guy. 2 in the first round, just like the public deuces. Let's see who's got going. We had Goffgate last year, so we know Jared Goff is going to be solid. And Justin Fields, that's not a bad 1-2 punch. You're probably going to start Justin Fields just for the rushing the whole time. Jared Goff come in for the bye weeks kind of thing. Who knows? Justin Fields running as much as he does probably gets injured in week 2 or 3, so you're just going to be living off Jared Goff there. But let's look at the running backs. Cordero Patterson, Melvo Gordon, Joe Mixon, Julius Jackson, Justin Jackson, Jermaine Jackson, Jay Jackson, Michael's cousin. So, yeah, 2 guys that don't have a team. Joe Mixon will be indicted this year, and Cordero Patterson has had rookies drafted back to back in Atlanta. So I don't know if we're going to have many starters here on the Caponia squad. Wide receivers, Aguilar is in Baltimore. Right, Duvernay in Baltimore. All right, here we go. Then we got Jamar Chase, Joshua Palmer, Khalil Shakir, Garrett Wilson, and a unsigned Julio Jones. So yeah, Jamar Chase and Garrett Wilson, solid. This team's going to struggle to fill those extra flex slots. So Gerald Everett might get tossed in there with Logan Thomas at tight end, but let's see what might be on the board here. We've got wide receivers, definitely need wide receiver help, but I think you need running back help even more for this team. So maybe they go for a Jackson Smith or a Quentin Johnson. Well, let's see who's coming after Jahmyr Gibbs. You got Zach Charbonnet, only drinks Chardonnay, and Devin Achane in Miami. Both guys coming into crowded backfields, and then Kendra Miller also going into a somewhat crowded backfield with Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams. So we'll see. I mean, this is a toss up. I think you got to go with sheer talent available at that pick. So you're probably going to see Jackson or Quentin go off at this point. But boy, does this team need some help, and hopefully they can utilize it a little bit, having two picks in the first round here. So let's move on here to the old Scooter Tube G. Lamar Jackson, we're in good shape. Baker's got another starting role with another team, so nice little break. Garoppolo, good little snatch up, going to be a starter for however long he can there in Las Vegas. But we all know it's going to be the Lamar show. So sitting pretty there. Don't think that we're going to have a quarterback run off the board just yet. Then let's look at the running backs. This is a strong running back class, actually. James Conner, Saquon, AJ Dillon, and James Cook. James Cook's a good one to have. It's a little crowded there in the Buffalo backfield at this point, but James Cook's nice and young. We saw he could run really well towards the end of the year last year when he was getting touches. But there's still, if we keep talking about what you need to do when you have that added flex, there's room to add there to get some points in. But you can probably run Connor, Barkley, Dillon all year long as you're not hitting bye weeks. But wide receiver, I think, is where we need some help here, and that's what we're going to see go off at the 104. We got CD Lamb and Devonta Smith. That's awesome. Great 1-2 punch. But then two guys that haven't signed yet. I doubt we see Landry sign anywhere. If he does, probably not going to make an impact. And then D Hop, we're waiting for it. He's going to get signed, right? We all know he's going to get signed at some point, but nothing yet. So it always keeps you a little bit nervous. So I'm thinking that we're going to see Scooter jump off with a wide receiver there. So whoever Caponia does not draft in that 3 slot, I say goes to Scooter. So we're either looking at Jackson Smith or we're getting Quentin Johnson going off at that point. Tight ends, a little bit light once you get past Darren Waller. Trey McBride's going to be a beast. He's sitting behind Zach Ertz right now in Arizona. Zach Ertz is coming off of a knee injury, so maybe Zach Ertz doesn't come back at all and just becomes the Trey McBride show. You know that Arizona is throwing Cade McCown at this point. I don't know. I gotta look that one up. But until Kyler Murray gets healthy, you're going to be throwing either a young guy or a journeyman quarterback out there who tend to love tight ends. So maybe he doesn't need help here, but only with 2 on the roster, I see Scooter probably making a tight end move, maybe with his 2.04 whenever. But yeah, let's look to see a wide receiver go off at the 104 for Scooter, and then probably a tight end around 204, and maybe get a little bit of a running back depth in the 304 if there's anything available. See how that goes. My rotten soldier, aka Beth's healthy twins, just made a big splash getting Tyreek off the roster, but still owns probably 10 Miami Dolphins on his fantasy roster. So let's see what that's going to shake up. He's got the 105. He traded around, got the 106. So we're looking at back-to-back picks here. And then we're seeing another pick there at the 305. I believe that's all of them for this particular feller. What we got. So Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray. Let's see what Kyler Murray's timetable looks like. Kirk Cousins is going to throw to Justin Jefferson all day. He's a solid QB here. So you're going to get points up somehow. With the running back field being kind of mixed up in Minnesota, I'd say they throw even more this year. So that's a solid play until they get to the bye week. Maybe this is potential to grab one of those rookie quarterbacks is going to be long term. Might be a little too early though with 105, 106. It's too much talent there to pass up, I think, going for a quarterback that early. But let's just see what we're looking at. Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. in Miami. I think this would be really fun, whether it's the 105 or the 106, if we see our man Devin Achane coming off coming off the list here. Might be a little bit early compared to some other rankings, but this guy loves Dolphins. And why not get a third Dolphins running back while you can? He's young, he's talented. Why not go for it? I think that's what you do there. But you got back to back. So, you got Chase Edmonds in Tampa Bay. Wild. That's pretty cool. There's so many running backs in Tampa Bay right now, just like Miami. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think last season going out might have ended his fantasy relevance with Isaiah Pacheco coming in. Zach Moss is sitting there and coming in from Buffalo, backing up. Oh God, why can't I think of his name right now? Because he just became irrelevant. The number one guy in the league half the time. Gosh, can't think of his name. Let me look at the team that owns him. I think he's on the other Barnes team. Jonathan Taylor Thomas. That's the one. That's the guy. It's rough that you can't even remember that dude's name. He's been playing so poorly, but got Rashad White. He's got some running backs, but really, who are you trotting out there as your lead bell cow? I mean, it's Mostert or Wilson at this point. So you got to look for Rotten Soldier to go running back at least with one of these picks. Let's look at the wide receiver situation. Jalen Waddle. He got rid of Tyreek. Maybe he just knew he needed help at running back somewhere, needed that draft pick, and knew that Waddle's the young guy. So Waddle's got some more longevity there. Trey Burks coming into the second year should be doing a little bit better, but there's not a lot of wide receivers here. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the roster total. I don't know who D Carter is. Maybe that's just me. I don't know who D Carter is. DJ Chark in Carolina, where dreams go to die. Jacoby Myers in Las Vegas now. That's not bad. Yeah, I might get some balls out there working alongside Devontae. So we'll see how that goes. But I still think you need some wide receiver help. You need some running back help. Let's look at the board. Let's see who's going to be available. We look at the running back. So depending on how the previous ones go, I think you see Zach Charbonnet, Devon Achane, or Kendra Miller going off with one of these picks. I'd love to see Devon go off here just for the sheer Miami-ness going into it. But, the best bet may be Charbonnet at that spot. Wide receivers, if we look at the previous picks, you're probably going to see this one be Addison or Flowers. We all know that Patricio's a homer, so maybe Zay Flowers jumps off with the other one, and we go wide receiver, running back in this pick. We look down, he's got Mark Andrews, but Adam Troutman behind there in Denver. So at some point in this draft, I'd say maybe he waits until the 305. He's got the ability to do so. That might be his only other pick available there, but see him get a tight end there in that third round, probably. Skipping over the 106, that got traded out. And then we land at Brian. Brian bet $100 against Dame Judi Dench that he would have more wins in the regular season than him. And that's going to be a fun one. Going to enjoy that bet for me at least, because let's look at this team. We got Russell Wilson and Derek Carr. That's not bad. We expect Russell Wilson to have a bounce back year this year. Maybe this is one of those ones where you have two probably QB edge guys, maybe going to be ranked between 14 and 20 every single week. Maybe you play the wrong one, maybe you play the right one, or maybe one of them just gets on the roll. But I think he's probably good at quarterback. Doesn't need to draft anything there unless he's really looking at the future, but he probably got a few more years out of both those guys. Dalvin Cook, is he going to sign anywhere? I don't know. Running back values have just gone down tremendously for anybody over the age of 27. You see Zeke Elliott hasn't been signed. Kareem Hunt hasn't been signed. Dalvin Cook is right in that boat, probably the most talented out of the group out there. So he probably will land somewhere, but will he make an impact? For Brian's sake, let's hope. Because coming behind, then all you have is Tony Pollard. You've got Foreman in Chicago, but you've already got two other running backs in Chicago to fight with. Josh Kelly as the LA Clipper here. Again, crowded backfield, probably not going to get a lot of touches. That might be a future play, but way into the future, I think, out there in LA. And Malik Davis backing up Tony Pollard. So that's a good thing to have. They did draft a rookie running back as well. But Brian needs some running back help pretty bad here. Look at the wide receivers, Keenan Allen. Let's hope he stays healthy. Allen Robinson is, about to go into retirement probably. Josh Reynolds is a solid number 3 there in Detroit. Mac Hollins is in Atlanta now. That's cool. Christian Kirk, Jacksonville. It's solid, actually. He might be their stud out there. He was putting in really good numbers all year long. So if you're running Keenan Allen and Christian Kirk, that's pretty solid. Alan Lazard getting reunited with Aaron Rodgers. He's going to have more talent there in New York, so could get more ability. He's splitting it with Garrett Wilson, but still serviceable as a flex play. And then Osborne is going to be another wild card. So wide receivers okay. You probably don't have to go for that here in the first round, but if the talent far outweighs any kind of value you're going to get from a running back, you might have to jump at the wide receiver. But it all depends on Dalvin Cook, and I don't think we're going to figure out what happens to Dalvin Cook between now and the draft tomorrow night. So yeah, oof, tough one, Brian. See at tight end though. You got Joku, Gesicki, Jenkins, Harrison Bryant. Yeah, Gesicki is in New England. That's cool. I didn't realize that. That's right on. Joku is a stud though. I think Joku is going to have a really solid year. That was a good trade that happened last year. Get Joku on Brian's team. So he's pretty solid on tight end. Don't see any tight end drafting in his future. So he's got the 1-7, the 3-7. I might have grabbed something else somewhere else. Let's see. Don't see Brian anywhere else. So 2 draft picks this year. 107. I think one of those 3 running backs that we were talking about earlier between Charbonnet, Akane, and Miller are going to go at this point. Moving right along, Bo Agrius traded away to Caponia. So Caponia's got that 108. We talked about Caponia earlier, really needing running back help, but also needing wide receiver help. So this might be where he goes the opposite way. I think we're still going to have one of the 3 Charbonnet, Kane, or Millers by this point. I've been saying their names a lot, so maybe I've said them too many times and they'll be gone. But these are really the guys that are first round running backs. You kind of hit a hard drop off after those names. So Caponia, yeah, wide receiver or running back going to go at that point. Matty Drip traded away to Kata Hansky. Public deuces. Looking back there, we know he's got the running backs. He's going to grab a running back earlier. So now it's wide receiver time. A lot of talent in wide receiver in this draft, as it normally is. Probably seeing a Jordan Addison or Jonathan Mingo going at this point. And then we got Tommy Lee Barnes here. Tommy Barnes coming in with the Dak Prescott, the Tua Tagovailoa. Man, that's some fun quarterbacks there. We'll see how Tua does. And, Dak is Dak. Dak's going to do his thing. Jamal Williams on the trade block now. Josh Jacobs, probably the best running back in the league, just with the opportunities that he gets. Cam Akers could be up and down. You don't know. But then kind of hidden here on the roster is your Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall combo, which is just going to be incredible for this team for a long time. Breece Hall coming off of that knee injury. He'll probably get eased back into the offense this year, but Kenneth Walker just totally showed what he could do there towards the end of the season for Seattle. Got some competition with Charbonnet, though, so we'll see if that gets split up. That's going to be a tough thing, I think, this year for a lot of teams. There's just a lot of crowded backfields starting to move to models where running backs don't get 20-plus carries anymore. So you're really heavily reliant on who's landing those touchdowns and who's getting receptions as a running back. You don't need running back help with this team. They're solid across the board. They're really solid across wide receiver as well with A.J. Brown, Brandon Ayuk on the trade block, Michael Pittman, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, this is all the flexes are full. This team doesn't matter who you draft. You might as well sell all your draft picks, send them to 2026. Sure, you could get some from come sail away there. But if they wanted to draft something, I say this might be a spot where you make one of those reaches for a tight end, one of the top guys in the draft, Dalton Kincaid or Michael Mayer. It's both solid options here, both looking like they're going to hit the ground running in their homes, would be a good complement to Dallas Goedert. Otherwise, you're probably looking at wide receiver at this point. Jonathan Mingo might still be on the board. Rashee Rice in Kansas City. Josh Downs syndrome and Marvin Mims the word. And yeah, I think we go tight end here, though. All hail ESPN. Just can't get down with the sleeper. We got old Patty Mahomes leading the crew with wow, Heineke went to Atlanta. Who knew that? I didn't know that. This is fun. I'm learning. So Heineke's probably not going to be somebody that's going to be relevant for you. Mahomes is going to start every game except for the bye week, so who cares who your backup is, right? But maybe this is where you see that first quarterback go off the list because it's just this is a spot to grab a Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. There's the three that are going to go in this draft. Probably some others get snatched up between Will and Hendon, and Brian will probably take Stetson Bennett in the third round just because he wants to commiserate with some other old person. But let's get back to Big Dan Klingon. All hail ESPN. We got David Montgomery getting into Detroit, Devin Singletary going to Houston. Everybody got traded from this team. Khalil Herbert, that's just a really good spot in Chicago. Hopefully he gets to take over the reins with David Montgomery getting traded away. Really like Khalil Herbert, so I think he's going to be a stud for him. And then everybody else, it's just going to be crowded backfields, but at least you'll have people to throw in the lineup. Let's see what we got at wide receiver. Brandon Cooks is in Dallas. There you go. There you go. Maybe that trade between Scooter and Dan will finally pan out for Dan. Cooper Kupp, man, that was sad. Got injured last year, so he'll be back. He'll be back. Yeah, he's a stud receiver. Hopefully he rises back to the glory that he was. Adam Thielen now in Carolina. Ugh, that's tough being in Carolina. Rookie quarterback. Just awful franchise, but we'll see how Adam Thielen does. He's a solid receiver. He should be able to pick it up. Renfro, Valdez Scantling, he's got serviceable options here at wide receiver, and between Cooks, Thielen, and Kupp, he should be good. Good to go. Tight ends, we're looking at Tyler Higbee, Robert Tunyon in Chicago now, who's going to be fighting with who's our boy out there? Good old Cole Kmet, Tyler Conklin in New York. He's got tight ends, but maybe there's some opportunity here. None of them are really jump out tight ends by any means. Higbee might have had the better year out of this group. But if we really shake it out, this could be a fun one. I mean, I don't think there's enough talent at running back available just yet, or not for this value. So I think you might go with either Kincaid or Mayer if they're available, or this is where the quarterback jumps off, one of the first quarterbacks. I'm going to see. I'm going to go tight end, though, here. He loves Mahomes. He's going to ride Mahomes to death. He can probably get one of those quarterbacks here at the 211. Ryan Neculus back in action had gotten that 112 traded to him. So we didn't really talk about him earlier because we knew he's going with B. John Mustardson for the first pick. But here might be one of those quarterbacks. Davis Mills, Desmond Ritter. Both guys are going to start, but maybe you jump out and get one of those young guys here. Maybe if Big Dan doesn't go for it, maybe Nick goes for it here. You know that Nick needs some running back action. He's getting Bijan. He had Algier, who looked really good, but then they draft Bijan, so it's hard to say. Snoop Connor could be a surprise though. And Smelly Pierre Strong. Maybe this is a draft pick that gets traded. Maybe somebody else needs something and maybe is willing to give up a running back here. This could be the opportunity for, honestly, Dan, with having those running backs with David Montgomery and Devin Singletary that are going to be sharing backfields. Maybe you could trade back to the 112 for one of those guys. That might not be a bad deal. Think about it. Wide receiver, lot of folks here. DJ Moore leading the crew in Chicago, new home with a quarterback that does not like to throw the ball, probably afraid to throw the ball, probably going to get injured this year from running too much. But then tons of young talent in Nico Collins, Rondale Moore, Darius Toney, and Juan Dale Robinson, John Mechie, healthy. Such a great story there. Hopefully has a good year. Velus Jones. Lots of talent there. No breakout names necessarily, but we all know that Cumsale is playing the long game. So give it 3 more years, and maybe those guys are all leading the way. I know he's really happy with his tight end room between Hayden Hurst and Chester Okonkwo and Julius Woods there. But yeah, he's going to stay away from tight end. So I smell a trade here. I smell a trade. Otherwise, he's going to have to go running back. And by this point, you're getting into this next phase here of Roshan, Tank, and Tajay, which Roshan is probably a good option coming in to a Chicago backfield that just got rid of David Montgomery. It's going to be fighting with Khalil Herbert and Devonta Foreman out there. But as rookies go, he's probably next in line there. Tank Bigsby in Jacksonville going to be fighting with ETN, Snoop Connor, and Tajay Spears might be the answer for Derrick Henry should Henry go down. So maybe Tajay would be one to look at, just thinking about the health of Derrick Henry. All right, here we are, the 1.13, the R Barnes, sitting it up here. We're only going to go through the first round here. So sorry if you didn't have a first round pick, you're not going to get the honorable mention. Maybe we'll look at your team though and just do a little talk through here. But R Barnes doesn't trade, doesn't do anything, just finds way to win football games. It's wild. Just likes his team. He likes their guys. There's nothing wrong with that. Deshaun rubs him down, and Joe Burrow. Uh, Great 1-2 punch. Love the AFC North there. Doesn't need a quarterback. Murray, Harris. Okay, let's get to the starters. Miles Sanders goes to Carolina, going to get the carries there. Jonathan Taylor hopefully has a bounce back year there. Michael Carter is now sitting in this crowded room of probably 4 running backs. Jordan Mason, that's a long-term play. You know that you got 2 guys that are trotting out every single week, but you could probably do with adding another running back there. 2 third and fourth stringers here in Buffalo. We'll see how that goes. And wide receivers, over the pants Beckham Jr. is in the house in Baltimore. Should have a good year. Cletus Godwin in Tampa Bay. No more Tom Brady, but hey, Baker Mayfield will sling that ball to him. Cletus Samuel, Kenny Galladay. Oh, some of the best hands in the league. I can't believe it. He's not been signed. Calvin Ridley coming back from suspension in Jacksonville. Wow, Jacksonville's got some talent, got some weapons. That could be exciting. Cole, hardest man on the field. Greg Dortch, the torch. Raheem Shaheed. Michael Gallup. He is not hurting at wide receiver. We are not going to see a wide receiver go off the board in this spot. I'll tell you that. Tight ends, Austin Hooper, Hunter Henry, George Kittle. Yeah, George Kittle, is going to run it. Henry's got a crowded room there with Gesicki, and Austin Hooper is going to be fighting off the rookie Michael Mayer. So, hey, if Michael Mayer's still on the board here, I think you got to go Michael Mayer. We'll see if he's there or not. Otherwise, you're going with one of those running backs. It's probably not going to get a lot of touches. Roshan, Tank, Tajay kind of thing. We'll see how that goes. And the last of the 1.14. Our champion traded it away and won the league. So clearly a solid play that goes over to the Wriggles Diggles. And let's get back there and check out the Wriggles team. Went supposed to have the 112, went back to the 114, got Matty Stafford, Josh Allen. No questions there. Samaje Perine getting into Denver. Nyheim Hines and Buffalo, super crowded. Darrell Henderson, not signed. Swift in Philly, hometown, should be looking good, but that's crowded as well. We know John likes to talk about Kenny Gaineswell fighting and taking some of those carries away. Then he's got the Washington Hamskins, just crowding up that backfield. Nice little 1-2 punch. We thought Gibson was going to totally fall off last year after Brian Robinson gets drafted, and we all give him shit, and that dude just turned into fucking Wolverine, healing himself from a gunshot wound on our draft day, and ended up surprising us all. So Robinson should be a talent there. So you got some running backs. Yeah, you're going to start Swift and one of these 2 guys, but then be playing around in your flex. Wide receiver with Robert Woods. Man, that guy's still playing. Wicked. Lockett, there's going to be 3 stud wide receivers there now in Seattle with Jackson Smith and DK. And now Tyler Lockett, Stephon Diggs. Man, that Diggs, Josh Allen connection Let's hope they're not still mad at each other from the playoff game. Michael Thomas, is he healthy? Is he really back? I don't know. Tyler Boyd, their third guy in Cincinnati at this point. Mike Williams, can he stay healthy? Some good options, but some question marks as well with some health and some age and some, honestly, where they landed after free agency and some trades that went down. Dawson Knox, Taysom Hill, the guy that can play anywhere kind of thing. Here's doesn't really need the tight end, could use a running back, uh, could use a wide receiver. This could go any which way. You could look and get some backup there for Josh Allen and maybe make a play for one of the top quarterbacks, but it's probably too early in the first round to be doing that. So I'm going to say that we look to wrap up that first round with Roshan, Tank, and Tajay coming in the last three picks of the first round, because running backs is what everybody in this league seems to need, except for Tommy Barnes, who has lockdown on everybody young and talented, and probably Ron Sword, who also has young and talented. So that's the first round. That's the first 14 picks. Teams that did not have a first round pick: Ron Sword, looking at Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance as his quarterbacks. T. Law has come into his own, so that's solid. Trey Lance, who knows if he'll have a job anymore? Maybe look at the Sword to grab one of those running backs at some point. He's got the 2-5. That would be a really good spot, and see if Anthony Richardson falls there. Maybe you go and grab him in that 2-5 spot. Running backs, he fleeced Brian for Madison, knowing that Cook wouldn't re-sign, but you never know. Minnesota's got a crowded backfield as well. Maybe Madison's not as good as people think he might be. I think he's good enough, though. He's going to be serviceable. Najee Harris, it's just going to be a machine there in Pittsburgh. Continue. Elijah Mitchell, who knows? Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, Mitchell goes back in. Kenny Gaineswell, DeAndre Swift gets hurt, he goes in there. Javonte Williams, coming off of the season-ending injury. A lot of good young talent on this team between Harris and Williams. You know, Madison is still relatively young, so that's solid. Really holding out hope there for Zamir White. Jalen Warren is a nice handcuff. Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson, Marquise Brown, throw them in there, even though Arizona's passing game is going to be maybe kind of rough this year. But Tyreek and Justin Jeff, obviously Justin's going to stay good. Tyreek might have 2-3 more good years in him, but for this year, that's a solid pickup. And then you got your Sky Moore and your Slubs and Dubs coming in there. Gabe Davis is a great quiet grab. The dude catches some touchdowns, that's for sure. So Diggs gets the receptions, and Davis somehow sneaks away with some touchdowns pretty well. Only rostering one tight end at this point, so with the probably 4 or 5 solid tight ends in this draft this year, don't think they're going to fall to league commissioner's first pick at the 205, Kincaid and Mayer, but Laporta could be a solid option there in Detroit. Luke Musgrave's already getting first round reps in Green Bay, and then it just kind of falls off. So, there's a strong 4 there between Kincaid, Mayer, Laporta, and Musgrave, and that might be something that the Sword looks for there at the 205. But really, I think he needs to get back up quarterback. I think he could use backup for Hawkinson at tight end, and then throw some darts at some running backs potentially. Doesn't really need it, but maybe better off throwing a wide receiver. There's more wide receivers in this draft than there are running backs. Who else did not get a first round pick? Me. Hey, Dame Judy traded away that one. So getting draft picks at the 2-7, 208, looking at the team. Danny Jones, Kenny Pickett, Aaron Rodgers. He likes his guys. Gonna roll with that. Kareem Hunt didn't re-sign. What a heartbreaker. Didn't get traded at the deadline, and then just doesn't get re-signed. So we'll see if he lands anywhere or not. I don't know. The 3-headed monster, Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, and J.K. Dobbins, if those guys stay healthy, they're in the lineup year-round, putting up solid points. Jerome Ford as a handcuff. Wide receivers at DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel, Jerry Jeudy. That's going to be in the lineup every single week, excluding buys. Hope it all stays healthy. Chase Claypool got talent around him in Chicago. Solid wide receiver, huge target, but has not proven himself in the league just yet. Still very young, still very big, but not doing anything. Jalen Tolbert didn't do anything last year. Jahan Dotson looked great. Jameson Williams loves to gamble and got suspended. What gives, bro? Coming off of a rehab year last year as well. Tight ends, Zach Ertz injured. Cole Kmet on Chicago, young and talented. Freiermuth is solid, going to be with Kenny Pickett, looking good, and Jake Ferguson's going to be trying to fill in some of those voids that was left from Dalton Schultz. Yeah, could definitely use some running back help here. If any of the three main go down, this team's hurting. So probably looking at running backs. Yeah, probably looking at running backs. But by the 207, 208, there'd be some trades. Just saying it now, talking about his own team. But yeah, might be some opportunities to trade around here whenever Bo Agrius, Dame Judi Dench gets on the clock. Last team that did not get a draft pick in the first round, actually only has one draft pick in the 212, is Matty Drips. John's Booty Sales on Come, or something like that is the current team name. Geno Smith, Jordan Love, Malik Willis, Brock Purdy, lots of young talent outside of Geno, but Geno showed that he can still play. Had a career year last year, going to be throwing to incredibly talented wide receivers, so looking to run the board there. Doesn't need quarterback help. Alvin Kamara, does he stay out of trouble? Does he stay on the field? Austin Eckler is going to be solid as always. Gus Edwards depends on J.K. Dobbins. Poor James Robinson. Isaiah Spiller waiting his turn. Isaiah Pacheco made his turn, looking great out there. Wide receivers looking solid. Devontae Adams knows going to be good. George Pickens, Chris Olave, and Christian Watson. Wow, that's just like young talent for 10 more years. Going to be solid. Probably doesn't have to mess with his wide receivers at all. Has some kind of hard on for Van Jefferson, trying to dump him at the same time. Don't understand it there, but Van's on the run, so we'll see what goes down. Tight ends, Dalton Schultz in Houston. Yeah, Dalton Schultz is solid. That could be good. Noah Fant in Seattle, Dulcich in Denver. I mean, both those teams like their tight ends, but I think there's too much talent in Seattle for Fant to have a good year. And then Dulcich just depends on Russell Wilson. We'll see how that goes. Only gets one pick, gets the 212. Probably going to be bartering, I'd say, most of the draft, trying to move that pick around, trying to get moved up a little higher. Say he's probably, like most other people, going to try to bolster up that running back slot. That's it. I'm excited. I hope you all are excited. 6 p.m. tomorrow, we're going to be at the Lewis McDaniels Office of Law. We practice law, not law. Call us lawyers. And get there relatively early. Get there 5, get there 4. I don't know, it's not my office, but come on, knock on my door, and we'll let you in. We'll be hopefully providing some kind of food, maybe a crock pot full of hot dogs. Bring your own buns. We'll get some adult beverages, and we'll get some non-adult beverages as well for people to sip on. But it's going to be a fun time. I think we'll have at least 8 of you coming to the office for this live event. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of banter, hopefully. Have a good time and just hang out with everybody and celebrate just another year of fantasy football. And let's get to it. You've got 25 hours to plan. Hopefully this content was helpful, and hopefully everybody is invigorated and bricked up for tomorrow night. So as they say in the business, arrivederci.